So Allie here, Pat Fasanello is here, Doug Shea,
Here.
Sue Shockett,
Here.
David Blau,
Here.
Nancy Dayan,
Here.
and I have an iPhone logging in, and I'm not sure who that is at the moment.
Jeff. Jeff's on.
Hey, Jeff, how are you? So, and Jeff Fisher.
Hey, Allie. I'm good for you.
All right, and since we did kind of call the meeting to order right away, Brad Hickey is not on right now, and who else are we missing?
Just Brad.
Just Brad, okay. And he did not send a message that he wouldn't be joining us, so I would expect him to be joining us soon. I just wanted to go over quickly. So we are, town warrant is closing out pretty fast, and we did make a lot of progress in some of our changes. Just like everything happens so quickly, I do have some minor comments from KP Law. So I'm going to screen share those when we go over each one, as we are hopefully voting. Oh, in attendance now at 7:02 is Brad Hickey. So KP Law just sent over some minor revisions, which I will screen share with everyone so that we can go through. So we need to vote on the minutes from the last 3 meetings. We're going to vote on the articles, the chapters that we had made revisions on, and then we'll adjourn because I don't feel at this time we'll need to schedule another meeting just yet. So, and a big thank you to Doug for pulling all of these together and getting all the drafts out. Greatly appreciate all the work, Doug, on all the minutes and having it ready and really spelling it out.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay, so the first quick question I had was for the articles that we want to put forward as having no changes. Do we feel that we should vote that as a motion, or just when we're presenting to town meeting?
Since there are no changes, I don't think we have to. I think we could just say no changes on the following articles.
All right, that's what I was feeling. All right, so then we'll get right into it if everyone's okay with that.
Definitely.
All right, hold on one second. I'm just going to go to screen share. I haven't done Zoom for a little while. I hate to say it, everyone. So the first one we can go to is chapter 17, which is the permanent building. If I can find it. I had them all minimized down here. Okay. So this was our chapter 17. You will see I left it so that you can see the comments on the side. It was pretty minor revisions. And these are from KP Law. If everyone's comfortable after reading through, we can move forward and someone could make a motion for that.
Before we do that, I just wanted to make a comment on this.
Yep.
I did, we haven't been able to talk to Jeff about this one. The Permanent Building Committee is his committee, and so we were really looking for his input. I was able to catch up with him, and he did give me some feedback about these changes that I just wanted to discuss real quick. His first change, or his first comment, was about the $2.5 million mark, and he was suggesting that it get increased to $5 million. I personally don't know that that's necessary, because under this language, the way I had intended the draft was to say that anything over $2.5 million, the committee would have the committee would be being involved would be at the committee's discretion. So increasing it to $5 million doesn't take away the fact it's within the committee's discretion. It just potentially puts less projects on the plate of the Permanent Building Committee if they want to get involved. So that was one thing that Jeff mentioned, and I know he's here and he can comment. The other thing that he had mentioned was adding some language to the municipal buildings, adding language on that second sentence to municipal buildings or construction of new municipal buildings to include recreational facilities. As you guys know, we have some pools that are close to 100 years old that will be likely being redone in the next couple of years, or something will happen. But he thought that adding something like recreational facilities to this language would allow the Permanent Building Committee the opportunity to get involved in other recreational type things. Like, you know, the fields is one of the big things that came up when we originally started this conversation. And so adding that language would ensure that something like fields is potentially involved. If you had any big tennis court projects, I don't know that we do, but it would just provide greater
Flexibility.
greater scope for the Permanent Building Committee. So those were two things that Jeff mentioned to me. I don't know how people feel about that. I don't know if Jeff wants to comment at all, but those were two things that we discussed.
You know, I think Doug summed it up nicely. Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole it like it's been just on municipal buildings. You know, Doug mentioned, you know, at some point in time, we're going to be doing probably multiple pool and central pool. I don't recall what the scope of those are, but it would at least give us oversight from Permanent Building perspective. The other note is the members at large, the number of them. I thought 3 members at large was definitely appropriate. Just looking at our school building committee, which is a 15-member committee, we have 2 members at large. So I'm thinking with a 7-member committee, 3 members at large might even be overkill, given that, you know, there is the requirement for an architect, an engineer, project manager, you know, people in the construction field. So
Yes.
my comment.
I have a question about the word recreational. Should it be just be facilities? Does it need to say recreational facilities?
I'm not sure. Honestly, this is something maybe David and Brad could mention, because I'm not sure if to me a facility is something that's a big building or something like, you know, multiple buildings, multiple fields, something like that. I'm not sure if an individual field or an individual pool is really a facility or not.
I mean, I don't think it's that, sorry to jump in, Doug. I don't think we have to be that particular about it. In my view, I guess the question is, you know, from Jeff's standpoint and perhaps others, what other types of projects do we want the PBC to be involved in? Right. And so if it's fields, pools, that's recreational, but is that self-limiting? And there's something else that could possibly be, you know, if there's a new parking lot that's going to be built, or if there's new, I don't even know, I can't even think of it off the top of my head right now, but, you know, the walking trails or a permanent place for a dog park or a farmer's market or something else, right? Where you're talking about creating a space that doesn't exist anymore. That's really what we're talking about, right? Creating a building or a project that doesn't exist currently. So if you want to change it, I wouldn't limit it to recreational facilities. I would say, or projects instead of just building.
I think that, yeah, I agree. I think the word is project.
And I was just reading, and what KP Law put in is at its discretion, provided that the project, which is what KP Law put in for the recommendation of language change.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Renovation project is good, yeah.
But I guess at the same time, guys, we're not trying to insert ourselves in, you know,
Everything.
water and sewer capital projects as well. You know, we've got a 5-member commission that oversees that. So
Yep.
it shouldn't be all encompassing for everything the town's doing, but I do want it to cover some of the things that the PBC hasn't been involved in because of the restrictive language around municipal buildings.
Okay, so then are we comfortable addition to municipal buildings, recreation facilities, and construction of new municipal buildings?
I'm okay with that language.
I also am.
And these, any of our, these,
Yeah,
because we are
propose
gonna
it and
be,
see what they come back.
right, we're gonna, if we put that in, and make a motion, put that in and vote, it's still going to be reviewed again prior to the finalization of town warrant.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the specific wording that would be all encompassing, but not all encompassing, as Jeff said. So it's hard to thread that needle sometimes.
To me, the current language is limited very carefully to buildings, and adding these other projects changes the scope of the committee. And so, to me, there's a question of how much can the scope of this committee be changed without, starting to step on other people's toes, like, as you said, sewer and water projects and so on.
Well, here's a question on that, David, and I meant to say this when Jeff brought it up. Jeff, are you saying that the PBC does not have oversight if water and sewer were to construct a building?
I think when we did the Willis treatment plant, I think they did have some oversight, relative to the construction of the building, but not for the infrastructure of the water and sewer aspects. I wasn't around then.
Yeah, Pat will know more, obviously, on that.
When we built the treatment plants, we were actually surprised that they excluded the building committee, the permanent building committee, saying that they were, well, treatment plants. They were not buildings under this particular chapter. So that's just lets you know what happened. I know we did talk to some different boards about the type of building that we would have, and what the, for instance, the roof would be made out of, and what type of material would be used in the building. And it was, I guess, it wasn't a permanent building committee, but it was we had input, and the town felt that the treatment plant, the Laney treatment plant should sort of look like it did before when we put the addition on it. So it's brick and it has a fake slate roof. Some people wanted the addition to be, made out of, steel. What do you call them? I forget the name of the building, but a building that with steel sides. But anyway, I know the permanent building committee wasn't really involved in that.
Okay, so then the question is, are we comfortable moving forward of just adding recreation facilities? Because then the language that KP Law added provided that the project, I feel like saying the project has a little bit of flexibility, putting that language there.
That sounds
guess-
good to me.
Okay.
Can you just say that again, Ally? Because I feel like municipal construction or renovation project kind of covers all of that. And so you just suggested to add recreational facilities, is that?
Municipal
Correct.
buildings, recreation facilities, or construction of a new municipal building, I would say. So in that,
Okay.
right after municipalities, I would say add recreational facilities.
Okay. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, so as we're talking, I didn't get a chance to look at this earlier, but as we're talking, I was just kind of noodling around at some other towns and what their permanent building committee and what the definition of projects are. So there's some, like Wellesley, for example, has a definition that design or construction of a building or structure is described in general law as such and such. Public works project is described in such and such, substation or other structure, any building of the housing authority. And so there's different, you can get into really having an expanded definition, but I don't think we have time to really.
Well, the only
No.
other piece would be to pause and say we can put this and ask for an extension on this.
Yeah, I've got a hard stop in like 2 minutes, honestly. I'm very sorry. I didn't, I thought it was going to be a quicker vote. I apologize. Do we have enough people to vote without me if I have to hop off?
Yep, we do. So,
Okay, I'm sorry. I can hang on for like 1 more minute.
okay. Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to get through each one. So,
Okay.
but I appreciate you logging in and taking that time.
Yes, I apologize for having to run. I'm glad you have enough people because otherwise it would have been. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Carry on. Thank you.
All right.
So I'm okay with Ally's requested change or suggested changes, but if we think we really want to explore this and get a little more detail and some examples from other places to maybe encapsulate everything that Jeff is contemplating, maybe we should request a continuance on this one.
And, you know, I'm hoping to keep this as a short meeting, but if as we're discussing and you're reading public housing and things like that, with the upcoming concepts that are being discussed for the Johnson Middle School building, it gives me pause to not rush this then.
I'm okay with that. I don't want to be seen as rushing anything.
I also agree. And for some reason, I'm really focusing on the $2.5 million contract component that KP Law is suggesting. I don't think anybody's going to go and piecemeal individual. Let's say we do 5 fields, each at $1 million. You know, that would, you know, prevent permanent building committee from being involved because it's 5 contracts at 5, you know, each at $1 million. I kind of want to think about that a little more. So I'm okay with putting this off.
So Ally, Jim Johnson here. I
Hey,
totally
Jim.
agree with some of these comments that let's not rush into it. There's no harm saying we'd like to digest this a little bit more before the spring town meeting. So I'd rather completely vet it instead of presenting something that gets picked apart at town meeting or we have to come back and fix in another town meeting. Just my 2 cents.
All right, so I think as a committee, I think we're kind of leaning towards that. Let's put number 17, chapter 17 on hold. We still have a lot of things with the pools going on, ideas for Johnson that will exceed that 2.5 million threshold. But I think we may want to put a little bit more specific language in it concerning those areas. Everyone
Sounds good.
comfortable with that? Okay.
Yep. I
Yes.
agree.
The next one, I just had we have chapter number 22 that we are recommending for removal. And so I do feel that we need to vote on that.
I'll make a motion to rescind bylaw chapter 22 for the permanent building maintenance committee.
Second,
Okay, we'll do a quick roll call vote because we were on Zoom. Doug,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Nancy,
yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Pat,
Abstain.
Jeff,
Abstain.
and I am a yes. Okay.
So that's a 302.
Yes.
Just making sure.
It's a 402.
402.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm adding that up. I'm like, nope, we have 7 of us here tonight. We are what 1, 2. We should be at 7 at this point tonight. Sorry, we're all drafting our notes too at the same time.
it's
So, Ed,
502.
You're right, Nancy. It's
502.
5. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ally, we forgot to count yourself, I think.
Yes, I was like,
Yep.
And my Zoom is I've only got so many faces on my screen.
no, well, that's why I'm going to stop the screen sharing so we can go back. Okay, so that's chapter 17, chapter 22, chapter 44. David, you put forth your recommendations. At this time, I don't have full feedback from town council. So I'm also going to recommend that we push that for spring meeting because I think there was a few more comments that KP Law wanted to address and making sure that it was in line with the state law.
Okay, yeah, and if you could make sure that they get a copy of the most recent version that I sent around, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, that one that we sent around this afternoon was the one I just forwarded to her today.
That's
Okay,
for
good.
45, right, Ally?
Chapter 45, yes.
Okay, I thought you said 44, but I just wanted to be sure. 45, okay.
Okay, and then chapter 88 is Finance Committee. KP Law has reviewed that and Jim has reviewed that, and there were no changes besides the recommendations we had made.
Those changes, just for people, were removing, it was changing chairman to chair, vice chairman to chair, and then saying that at its first regularly scheduled meeting, officers would be elected.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to accept the changes to chapter 88 as presented to the committee, or as forwarded around earlier yesterday.
Second,
Okay. Pat,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Nancy,
yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, motion. So we're going to move on to chapter 125, meetings of boards in town, and I am going to screen share again, just some minor revisions. Just have to find it. Okay, so you can see here, there was a minor revision, just specifying space needed in town building for such purpose and subject to the reasonable requirements of the board chair as to the number. So our
I'm okay with
revisions.
that.
Yep. Anyone else have any comments? I mean, our scope was really more to just make it that it was available. We had reached out to Walpole Media, and we did not want to put extra language in here that would be too difficult for them to manage meeting spaces and ability for recording facilities and things like that.
Are there any boards that meet other than in the town buildings?
I am not 100% sure on that, David.
So there, I don't know about that, but I would say, like, the recreation committee, you know, when we used to meet, it was at Blackburn Hall, and there wasn't, I'm not sure what kind of setup would have to be done at a location like Blackburn Hall. It is a municipal building. It's just not town hall.
Yeah, for a special meeting, you'd have to find another room. That's really what you'd have to do.
Yeah.
These changes look good to me.
Okay.
I agree.
Then I'll make a motion to accept the redraft of chapter 125 as presented by, I guess, KP Law. Is that?
Yes.
second,
Stop screen sharing so I can see everyone again. Pat,
Aye.
Doug,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Nancy,
yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes, and I'm gonna have to drop.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, and I am a yes as well. Okay, so we have 700. Chapter 177, records and reports. This is a very minor change. I'm going to screen share with you. I'm not even sure if you can see.
Can you scroll up, Ally?
Edit. Yep, that's what I'm like. What am I looking at? Let me see if I can minimize. So the change was just adding in a little bit more to the specific compliance. So you can see that KP Law did all the changes in blue.
Yeah, I think that's fine with me. I had, when I had proposed this to you, Ally, I had intentionally not cited, sections and things, just because if things change under MGL 30, then, or 30A rather, then, then this would maybe be outdated, but I guess I suppose then, other things would have to be changed then too. So that's the only reason I didn't include that. So I'm fine with it.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, in situations like that, typically, the lawyers will add in language like, this chapter, this section, or its successors,
Yeah.
to cover that eventuality. But I mean, as it stands right now, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. I'm going to stop screen sharing.
And I'll make a motion to accept chapter 177 as drafted by KP Law.
Second.
All right. We'll take a roll call vote. Pat,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
David, Nancy,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
and I am a yes. So we were at 600. Okay. I have all my papers ahead of me. Chapter 182, which is a recreational committee, KP Law had no recommendations further than what we had done, which was to submit. We just adjusted how the budget, and that it would be appointed by the town administrator, changing that from the rec committee. Is everyone comfortable with what we did with Recreation Department? Does anyone want to make a motion on that one?
I'll make a motion to accept the redraft of chapter 182 as presented to the committee yesterday in the email.
I'll second it. Nancy, or
I know, I was
You
slow on the.
Nancy was slacking.
spread the love around.
All right, we'll do a quick roll call vote. Pat,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Okay, chapter 187, which is revolving funds. I will screen share this, as there were some minor comments, but really no major revisions. Hoping it is this one. Okay, so really what KP Law, and this is more so Doug had put kind of placeholders here. And I think really it's just that we need to remove those placeholders.
That's fine. Those were really just more, again, reminders, because we don't have anything on the performance surety deposits, and the Adams Farm Committee seems to exist, but I'm not sure if the Adams Farm Committee has submitted the paperwork to have a true revolving fund at this point.
And that's exactly, I think we're waiting on the Adams Farm to submit that paperwork. And I realize the placeholders for that. So really what we're doing for this this bylaw is renaming the turf replacement to just synthetic field replacement, increasing the amount and deleting that metering fund and cleaning that up. And the other, we will end up coming back to this one when Adams Farm and the performance section, or all the paperwork is completed.
And just so members are aware, we did reach out to the finance director about this, and the only one that we really heard when it comes to the values, the spending limits, the only one we were told to adjust was the Turco Field Fund. So the other authorizations, spending authorizations, will not change.
Could I just chime in on that one, please? So
right
I've
ahead,
already
Jim.
drafted an article on that one. We have about 3 or 4 changes. We're adding the Adams Farm in there. We're changing the net spending. We're increasing Turco Field, and those are the 3 that come to mind. But that's going to be a standalone article on its own for all the revolving funds.
Okay, so Jim, you don't feel that we need to vote on this one?
No, I'm just looking at it on my phone. No, it's going to be a standalone article too, Ally, and I'll give it to you. I gave it to the board, the draft last week. I'll give it to you again, and you can tell me if I'm missing anything. But she wants to get rid of the net metering and increase Turco Field and the Adams Farm.
Okay, so, all right. So I think that's fine then if we take this off of our voting on the revisions, because what we had intended to be changed seems to be included in what will be Article 2. Is the committee comfortable with that?
I agree.
Yep.
We can always
I'm
go
fine with
back
that.
in the spring. We can always go back in the spring and adjust it if it's not specifically everything we were gonna do, but, I'm.
And I
good.
think
Guys,
it's Article 14 or something that it's the standalone article is. So, Ally, I'll connect with you this week and make sure we're good with with the changes.
Okay. All right, and then the last one, so we're going to move forward, would be chapter 219. And I will screen share. This had a little bit more commenting for that. If I can find it, meeting a town board. All right, give me 1 minute to find this one. I thought I had them all minimized and ready to go. Let's see. All right, you guys are you able to see that yet or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Not sure why it's not popping up on my list. There goes for having everything ready, right?
do you, so you're saying KP or Lauren had additional comments to what we had proposed, Ally?
And it was more language. She comments that there's been a significant amount of attention from other towns due to the elimination of the local paper and the cost for publishing in the Globe or Herald. Thoughts could be instead requiring publication notice of availability of the warrant and where to get a copy. And so when I'm just trying to get those up to you, but I don't think it would be something that we were opposed to. It's just one more, so I apologize if this is not popping up because I figured it would. So we'll get this saved so I can pull this up. And I'm not sure why it is just not popping up for me.
I do have a
We'll get it.
question though.
Yeah,
Not less than 14 days. Is that 14 days straight or is it 14 business days?
for what, Nancy?
That things are not supposed to be posted not less than 14 days before any special town meeting.
I would imagine it's just days since it didn't specify business days, but
Yeah, if it doesn't say business days, then it's calendar days.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. From our perspective, we always say 14 days, so but not business days.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and we have so many drafts going on right now. It is getting lost on my computer, so I apologize. Let me see if I can save it on this. It is just not popping up. So I tried to save it as a Google Doc to get it to pop up and it wasn't. So
Ally, do you want to try to email it to one of us and see if we can do it?
I will. And that's what I tried to email these all out to Doug earlier and it was not behaving itself. All right, let's see. Because at this point, we should all be able to share any document needed. All right, Brad, I just sent it to you. Let's see if.
All right, so let me see if I can figure out the screen sharing thing now. So hold on 1 second. Why is it not letting me share my screen?
It should. And like I said, I'm trying to get it to just save as a Google Doc so then I can share because it is not pulling it up when I'm on Zoom right now.
Yeah, it's not having, oh, here we go. There we go. All right. Can you guys see it?
Getting there. There we go.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So this is so our changes, I think were the first line to say in eliminating the two public places and adding the town clerk's
Right.
office and town library. And then the rest of the language is added by KP.
Right, so where she did additions, the day appointed for an annual town meeting, not less than 14 days before special town meeting. And then that following language, the warrant for an annual, that entire section. Some of the comment was the wording will ensure the posting on the website does not constitute an official posting location for town meeting. The risk there may be an oversight in posting or website problem. The language ensures only the posting at the clerk's office and the library are official posting locations for the purpose of posting for town meeting.
I think that makes sense. If that's what they're seeing as a trend, I think that makes sense to specifically clarify.
So. Does anyone have any comments or issues with that? It's just kind of covering so that if there's a website problem or the posting on the website that our two public locations are listed as the town meeting, town hall and the clerk's office and the town library. And she just commented that many towns are seeing this because there are no local newspapers and publishing, and the large papers like the Herald and the Globe are very expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think it really takes away from what we were trying to do anyways.
Yeah.
All right, so can I stop sharing the screen? Is everybody comfortable with this?
Yep,
Those are the
Yep.
only changes?
those are the only changes.
Okay.
And I will get these all forwarded to Doug, and he'll, we can make sure that we have that final save. Does anyone want to make a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to accept the KP law changes to chapter 219.
I'll second.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Pat,
Aye.
Doug,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes,
Brad.
Yes.
Okay, and I am a yes. That is 600. Okay, so that will be the articles that we have made recommendations. This will be presented as one article in the warrant for town meeting, and we will ask for continuation on chapter 5, chapter 45, and chapter 17.
So what's
We
that?
have to,
Oh, no, go ahead, Doug.
no, I guess we don't. I talked myself out of it. I was gonna ask about the revolving funds, but since that will be a standalone article, we don't have to, you can vote no action and address anything through through the fall town warrant, and anything additional can be done at the Springtown meeting, like that surety deposit one that Jody mentioned. So I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. Did we decide that this is going to be offered to town meeting as a single article or as several articles that could be combined on a consent agenda?
It will be listed as one article, and if at town meeting, a substitute motion was to pull something out, right, Jim? Is that what was decided?
Yes, you are correct, Ally. They could separate it out if they choose to do so.
Okay, so it's sort of similar to the budget article that has all these, yeah.
I think that makes sense. So are we specifically, Ally, do we need to vote on how we're present, like, so we're specifically only asking to take action on whatever it is, 4 or 5 bylaws. Do we have to ask for a continuance for further action in general or on the specific ones we want to keep talking about? And I know we had that conversation about, whether we're going to eventually touch other aspects of the bylaws as well. So I just want to make sure if we have to vote on anything for that, we should
I
do
don't
that.
think we have to vote on that because I think it's the scope within what we were tasked with from town meeting last year.
Ally, just my 2 cents on that. You could just simply clarify it to town meeting in your cover letter to town meeting members, advise them we're taking on, lay it out the articles, why you've decided to change it. And then furthermore, and I can work with you on this, but we'd like to advise town meeting, we plan to come back in the spring with a few additional changes and we could touch base briefly on those.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Jim.
Okay, so then the last items that we need to vote on are the minutes from our last 3 meetings, which Doug distributed. Did anyone have any revisions to any of them?
Nope, I wasn't at 2 of them, and the one I was at, I don't know if we can vote on, but it looked good.
I reviewed the minutes for the sections that I presented on, and they appear to be accurate with what was discussed during those chapters.
Would anyone be comfortable moving forward to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Do we have enough people to approve the July one? Because I think there's only 4 of us here that were at that meeting.
You can vote on the minutes even if you weren't at the meeting.
Yes, you
Okay.
can vote on the minutes even if you weren't, because you're just verifying that they're complete and without error, kind of without error at this time.
Okay,
Are we
Right.
voting on each one individually or are we voting on them all as a block?
If we're all comfortable voting, I think we can vote them all as a block. Nancy, do you want to word that in your motion to include all the dates?
Motion to accept the meeting notes from May, June, and July? Or is it April?
June 14th, July 7th, and July 21st.
June 14th, July 7th, and July 21st.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I seconded.
Thank you. Roll call vote. We'll do Pat.
I can vote yes on June 14th, but I have to abstain on the rest because I wasn't here.
Okay, Doug,
Yes.
Brad,
similar to Pat, I can vote yes on the July 21st, but I'll abstain on the ones I wasn't here for.
okay. David,
Yes on all 3.
Nancy,
And I can vote yes on all 3 because I have read them and watched the video, so yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay. I don't believe at this time, I have a future date in mind. The next time I think we will be meeting maybe something quick prior to presenting to Finance Committee. Jim, I'm assuming we're going to be called forward to Finance Committee to review this article.
You are correct with that assumption. I haven't set I got to work with Mark and Denny. I talked to them earlier this week and just finalize the dates, but that'll be out this week.
So besides kind of writing a letter and our recommendations to the town meeting members presenting to Finance Committee, at this time, I don't have a date in mind for a future meeting.
And we don't have to meet before the warrant closes again.
We have voted on all articles and I
That-
think we have our action plan of
Great.
what we were able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think maybe at one point, maybe we want to approve do we want to vote to approve the letter that we send to at
Right.
town meeting?
Right, so I think that maybe that's what I'm hoping, that we have one more kind of brief meeting so we can approve the letter. And anything that maybe in that letter, we will send to Finance Committee.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, Pat?
Aye, but can I say something? I think I led you astray about the sprinklers. I just checked again. Okay, and if you have an odd numbered house, on Mondays, you can water with a sprinkler, exclusive of 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night. And if you're on the even side of the street, on Thursdays, the same. And I'm sorry, Ally, it's a fluid situation.
No, I hear you. Thank you, Pat. All right, Doug.
So the state will let us do that.
We're just continuing with the votes for adjourning the meeting. Doug?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering why you're calling. Yes.
David?
Yes, please.
Nancy?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Thank you, everyone, for taking
Did-
time tonight.
Thanks all,
Yep.
David. Enjoy your trip.
Yeah.
For your trip.
Thank you.